let's head on over to For the Culture, where we talk about culturally relevant things, whether it be in tech, whether it be in social media, or just something that we want to talk about. And I was thinking about what to include in this. So we have a couple of things. I wanted to quickly talk about how certain founders keep getting over on these multinational, multi billion corporations. JP Morgan Chase is the latest um, victim, I'll say, of this type of activity. A fintech startup called Frank um, basically yoinked them out of $175 million with over 4 million uh, fake user data. So basically, this company hired out this third party company to manufacture all of these user accounts to make it appear as if they had all of these users. And, I was digging into this a little bit before I found this article. And apparently, they asked the in house engineers to basically fake this data set. And the in house engineers were like, nah, we good. So they went and outsourced it to somewhere else because I think likely the folks who work in house knew what they were going to do with this data, while the outsourced company may not have realized it. But yeah, this founder, Charlie Javis, um, they are JP Morgan Frank are suing them for conspiring with another executive to to basically, like I said, create this fake list, this fake data set of users to trick JP Morgan Chase to thinking that this company had over 4 million people already in it so that they could leverage that. And they paid, like I said, 175 million for fake data. So
Yep.
the question was, when will it end? Will it end? Because it only seems as if certain people get away with these types of activities.
Well, I think the end is near because, the whole startup craze from the 2013s up until the pandemic, people were startup founders was getting money left and right. And when
Mm-hmm.
what I mean by starting founders, I mean white startup founders. And I say that because it's not a stretch to say, and I'm reading this quote, like I think you already read it, but I'll read it again. Rather than reveal the truth, Javis first pushed back on JP Morgan's request, arguing that she could not share her customer list due to privacy concerns. For her to be able to push back on JP Morgan Chase, who was giving her 100 and however much, $179 million, and then her to say, nah, that's not important. And they'd be like, oh, okay. You know,
Sure.
proves my point that, there are, like, proves your point that the question you brought up, that it's not a stretch to say any other type of investor wouldn't even get that far, let alone be able to push back confidently on a request from an investor. And I'm pretty sure JP Morgan and Chase wasn't like, give us their name, give us their social media, give us our social security, give them the birth certificate, give me their address, so we can hit them with marketing ads to open up a bank account.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that's not what JP Morgan Chase was looking for. They was looking for data to justify the spend, and the fact that these startup founder didn't want to give it to him, and JP Morgan Chase was okay with that until they couldn't take it no more and decided to file suit, shows me that,
It
she
got
got away.
this far.
Right. You know, that happens for certain startup founders. That doesn't necessarily, wouldn't fly with any other type of startup founder. And I mean, the proof is in the pudding because,
Yeah.
they can get $175 million for fake data, Meanwhile, you got other black startup founders that's providing actual factual
Fully
data,
operational.
right?
Yeah.
Making money, got customers, can vouch for them, and they struggle to, to get anywhere near this. So, I mean, it's not, I mean, if you hate the fact that we keep bringing it up, change it.
Yeah.
Until things change, we are going to point out that
The
that
disparities,
that
blatant
this
disparities.
right this founders can sell vaporware and get paid.
Yeah.
Look at her, look at the FTX dude, look at Theranos, look at the what's the
Even
guy with the
Firefest, if you even go back to
Firefest,
that.
but
Like,
just tech startup. Look
yeah.
at the what's the guy that was doing the space where you could rent the business the rooms.
We work.
WeWork. This dude
And then they
was
gave him more money for another company.
this dude was so smooth with it. He was buying the buildings, then using his own startup company to rent out the space that he owned. So then they can then in turn rent the space out to somebody else. So he get money three times. And they were like, that's great. Keep doing that. When anybody else is like, yeah, that's a conflict of interest if I've never saw one.
And
And
they
but
hired him and gave him a couple $100 million to leave. And then another company gave him even more hundreds of millions to start a new company. Like,
it's just
how? We know
it's
how,
just
but how?
right. It is just not fair.
Not at
So,
all.
all that to say, this lady, Charlie Javis, is going to be in jail or not in jail, going to come up on all these charges. We ain't losing no sleep over that because it's like, y'all, that's what you get. But
Yeah.
the fact that she even got that far, I'm still kind of jealous. Let
Yeah.
us get that far. I want to get that far to where I can fleece, scam JP Morgan Chase for 175
175
millions
million?
and go to jail for 3 years and go on about my business.
Right.
Let me do that. Can I do that, please?
Insane. Insane. All right. Next up, I mentioned MLK Day, or did I do that on the Snobbish show? I don't remember. Either way, on Monday, the federal holiday that we celebrate the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. All of the different, accolades, all the different events. President Joe Biden was in town. He went to Ebenezer. All of everywhere, all over the country, people rejoiced. Huzzah for the Reverend Doctor. Well, Boston decided to say, you know what, we are going to honor him and his wife with this new art installation. They dropped pics on social media, and social media did what social media does and was like, what is this? Um, do you hear the echo?
Yeah, that's me. I had to change
Okay.
my AirPods because I think they're dying. So I
Oh,
had
okay.
to switch it. So I'm going to
Okay.
fix it. Okay. All right, go
So
ahead.
yeah, so the image and the angles were very important. The art installation was called The Embrace, and it was based off of a photo when Dr. King found out that he won the Nobel Peace Prize. It's of him hugging his wife, Coretta Scott King. She's kind of like holding him with two arms. He has like one arm around her shoulder, and they created this image in bronze. And when people saw it, they didn't know what it was. And the only way you can know what it is two, if it's at the right one, if it's at the right angle, and two, if you have the original image for reference. Let me see if I can find the image, because you have to see it to believe
You have
it.
to, and you have to be looking at it right. You have to be looking at the right angle. So you got to be there. You got to be standing at 200 degrees west longitude and 175 degrees west latitude, and you got to have one eye open. You got to be standing on one leg, and you got to say the magic word in order to see this exactly the way the artist or the sculptor or the city who paid $10 million for this art installation wanted you to see it. Now, once you do all those things and you see it the way you're supposed to see it, then you can say, you can leave it up to your own interpretation of what this means. But if you look at it at any other angle, you're going to get a multitude of interpretations. I'll just put it like that, of
Yeah.
things that you will actually see when it comes to this art installation. So, most people, when it was unveiled, Nica's pulling up on the screen to where you're looking at it at the best possible angle to kind of see what you're looking at. But even still, if you're not familiar with the image that this was based on, you're still not going to understand what this is. And again, there's art, there is what your interpretation of art is, and then there's this MLK statue to where, again, you got to have a lot of background information. You got to be looking at it just right to understand what's going on, to then kind of use your interpretation or use your whatever, your art panache to actually understand what's going on. Everybody else either sees a giant turd, they see a giant penis, or they see a young lady with her legs up wrapped around some dude's head. Those are the things the impressions that I saw on Twitter, which again, like I said, if you got to look that hard just to be able to get it right, it is wrong.
Absolutely. And I'm showing the referenced image now
Now, there you go.
alongside the
Right.
a part of it. But again, you have to see the reference
Right.
image beside it, and you have to be at the right angle. It
Right.
was
Because even if they had that picture, even if they, like, in the background, a backdrop, a big green screen, and they did a video or a picture, they posted a picture of Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King doing this embrace, even if they do have that, if you're not at the right angle, you're still going to be like, I don't get it. I don't see it. I don't understand.
yeah,
So, again, it's art, but at the same time, at least people got to understand what they're looking at
yeah.
to
It's
then use that to paint a bigger picture or explain what they think it means to them. If they can't even get past the first obstacle of what is this,
and
how do you expect any? Go ahead.
I'm looking on Google Images, and it looks like some of the images have been scrubbed. Uh
Oh, have they?
yeah, I don't see very many of the images that had some
The
of
different angles.
the different angles. So wait,
Hmm.
here's one. Let's see. Share this tab. So if you see this image, it kind of gives you the perspective of someone's head
Hmm.
uh,
Somebody going to work.
getting it in, and it's like the most pure. Supposedly, it's the image itself that is based off of is one of the most pure images. Is very jubilant because he's
Hmm.
the context behind the images. He just won. It was just announced he won a Nobel Peace Prize, and whomever the sculptor was, I think the overarching issue is when the first images were released, it should have been at the correct angle with the reference image, and people may not have gone so hard, or even at the sculpture itself, maybe post a reference image so that
Well,
people know what they're looking at.
they was never going to get that in this day and age of these 20, 40 megapixel smartphones that you and I can have, and if potentially capture something that's going to take over the internet. What they were never going to be able to unveil this to the public, and at the same time, simultaneously, portray the angle that people needed to get in order to understand what was going on. That never was going to happen simultaneously. If they wanted to do this, what they should have did was had a private announce. They should have had a press release, just like Apple does with their M2 Pro, MacBook Pro. They put together a presentation that gives you what they want you to see and what they want you to know.
Yeah.
Anything else comes after that. When the YouTubers get it, when the reviewers get it, when the tech blogs get it, then they put their extra on it. But
Mhm.
Apple has already given you what
A
they want you to
curated
see,
experience.
a curated experience. And what they should have did with this statue is they should have unveiled it privately in a video that shows you exactly what they need you to see and what they need you to know. And then when they unveil it to the public, then people can say, oh, it looks like this and it
Mhm.
looks like this, or for that angle, it looks like this. But when you come off the jump with what is this? I don't understand what this is.
A
This looks
woman's
like a
hand
giant,
holding a penis.
this looks like a giant piece of poo. You're not going to recover from that. You're not going to recover from
Oh
it.
yeah, and don't let Black Twitter get a hold of it because
Oh,
my
it's a
God,
wrap.
the
It's a wrap.
jokes were hilarious, and I felt so bad on the day that we were celebrating this man's birthday and all that
Mm-hmm.
he's done and all that he stands for, and it's just it boils down to what looks like some poo, looks like a woman's hand holding a giant penis, looks like
Mm-hmm.
a man going to work, like the
Mm-hmm.
rent is due. It's just you're not getting
You're
you're
not
not
going.
getting
You're not.
around that. You're not gonna win.
When art exhibits, they curate the
Yeah.
experience. They didn't do a good job of curating the experience for this.
Nope. 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 And it definitely needed it. Definitely needed it.